Hello, everybody. I'm Keiichiro Nozaki, Senior Marketing Evangelist, Asia Pacific at F5, where we discuss the cybersecurity trends that are impacting businesses across Asia Pacific today. Throughout all of these series, we hope to shed some light and trend that all of us need to have a better understanding of in order to formulate our cybersecurity game plans. So today, we have with us Mohan Veloo, Vice President, Global Solutions Engineering at F5. Mohan, we're so glad to have you here today.
Thanks, Kay. I'm very, very happy to be here.
All right, sounds great. So let's quickly dive into today's topic, right? So let me start with this fact that we are seeing in the market. Most organizations today are dabbling in cloud. It can be public cloud or private, hybrid, whatever. While cloud infrastructure promises greater scalability and agility, does it also promise greater security? Obviously, not necessarily. However, security cannot be a mere afterthought for any organization today. So where should organizations start focusing on to build up their cloud security? This is the first question for Mohan today. So Mohan, over to you.
Thanks, Kay. Well, one thing to note is that we cannot fight against something we aren't even aware of. However, we are seeing that in the Asia Pacific region, it has been straggling behind when it comes to breach reporting, as opposed to markets such as in the United States. Data breach notification obligations throughout APAC are right now in a state of flux, Kay, with several countries introducing new requirements or updating their existing laws this year in 2021. Now in Asia, we have a lot of countries, but only a few of them seem to have introduced laws around breach reporting and around cybersecurity. So we have a few countries. What comes to mind is the CSL law in China. In Japan, we have the Protection of Personal Information Act. In Thailand, we have Personal Data Protection Act. We have Australia's NDB, which is the Notifiable Data Breaches Scheme. Same thing in New Zealand, a Privacy Act. And in Singapore, we have the PDPA, which is a Personal Data Protection Act. Now, all these laws more or less require reporting of breaches that occur to some form of central government body within a certain amount of time. And against this backdrop, what we've noticed that the number of cyber incidents reported continues to grow year on year as increasingly sophisticated threat actors look to take advantage of the disruption caused by COVID. So not only is it vital for organizations to invest in data and analytics to be able to detect breaches and attacks, it is also important to report breaches, should they occur. Now, the more information is shared, the better everyone in the community gets at understanding attacks and preventing them in the future.
I think that is really, really great starting point, Mohan. Thanks for this insight. And also, with many organizations doubling down on cloud migrations in our regions, how do you think we stand against the seas of the breaches? There's lots of things going on here. So just wanted to get your idea on this one as well.
So that's a good question, Kay. Cloud breaches are unusual in many respects. Now, after years of hesitation on the part of very large companies, enterprises to outsource to the cloud in such a committing way, it has since become clear that the economies of scale and standardization advantages that are provided by the cloud outweigh the risks of the cloud in almost all respects. Globally, cloud events are quite common, but not necessarily because a lot of cloud breaches occurred. Now, in reality, from the report that we did recently, out of the 729 events we looked at, only 11 were cloud breaches, but several of them were third-party breaches. Now, cloud breaches represents a trend of security incidents that seem puzzlingly simple and avoidable on the surface, but what we're seeing is that it simply won't go away.
Yeah, I can't agree more on that one, actually. And what would you say is the leading attack vector in Asia-Pacific when it comes to the cloud incidents? Any idea on that one as well?
So essentially, in our study that we did recently, all cloud incidences and breaches about which we have information about were actually attributable to misconfiguration. The inconsistency of responsibility boundaries in cloud systems makes the chances of misconfiguration actually unacceptably high. Let me explain a little bit about this. When the cloud was still somewhat new, there was a lot of discussion about security in the cloud versus security of the cloud. Now, in other words, there was an understanding that some aspects of security were the responsibility of the cloud customers. This is security in the cloud, and some aspects were the responsibility of the cloud providers like AWS, Azure. Here I'm referring to of the cloud. Time has shown that the security of the cloud, which is actually the fundamental security of the cloud platform, is actually quite good. So the security provided by the cloud providers on their platform is actually good and stable. We are now finding actually that the security in the cloud, the one that's provided by the customers, on the other hand, is not merely hard to do, but actually difficult to get the basics right. Now, when you really think about it, how is this possible? One clue that we've discovered to this puzzling imbalance lies in the fact that the boundary between these two aspects, that means in the cloud and off the cloud, changes very often. And it does not merely shift from customer to customer, but actually from cloud service to cloud service, even within the same cloud provider. So that, for example, this means that the boundary of security responsibility moves whether the customer is using, for example, AWS, whether they're using say Amazon EC2, whether you're using S3 buckets, whether they're using Lambda or even Amazon Aurora.
Right, that is exactly true. And I think that's definitely great insight for our listeners. Thanks for the points. And, in your viewpoint, how likely are the cloud instances like those that you just mentioned to go up in volumes or numbers in the coming years? Any predictions or thoughts on that one as well?
Well, I think our view in F5 is that incidents will likely go up with increasing adoption of cloud services. And we are starting to see this everywhere. So, but actually it will go up before it comes down as enterprises start understanding the new security parameters that I just recently talked about, they have to work in.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would say that is exactly the inconvenient truth that can be. And now that we have uncovered a lot of cloud incidents and breach reporting landscape here in Asia Pacific, what can our listeners do to shield themselves from those growing pains? Any suggestions on that?
So the nature of cloud and to an extent API incidents in the last year illustrates the importance of, very simply, inventory, configuration management, and change control. This actually belies the fact that cloud management has become complex. A lot of the breaches that we've seen could have been prevented with proper application of process as stated above. Now, investing in solutions that can ingest telemetry from various devices and gives you a full correlated picture of what is happening in the environment would be a first step.
So I think that is really great idea as a first step, Mohan. Thank you so much for sharing. Everybody, Mohan Veloo, Vice President, Global Solutions Engineering at F5. Thank you for joining us for our latest installment of F5.
Thanks, Kei, and thanks for having me. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you.